parents to your virtual training for your child's AAC device. My name is Bridget Peterson, and I am the Assistive Technology Specialist for the district. Here is my contact information. If you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help you troubleshoot or work on something you want to do with the AAC device. We can always set up a Zoom meeting to work together face-to-face. Once you've completed this training, we'll schedule a follow-up meeting where I can answer any questions you have. We can practice modeling together and practice making edits to a couple of buttons. I'm here to help, so feel free to ask me anything. Here's the agenda for this training. We're going to go over how the device is set up, our ultimate goal, which is Snug, how to use the device at home to help your child learn how to communicate. We're also going to look at using guided access on the iPad and editing within the TouchChat app. The TouchChat word power vocabulary is built around the concept of core words. Core words make up 85% of what we say and are not context specific, meaning I can say them just about anywhere in any situation. Many of these words are also considered sight words for early readers and so are also taught in class. Fringe words are situation specific and composed mostly of nouns. Things like animals, the names of planets, foods, and toys are all fringe vocabulary. Personal core are words that we add to the device that are specific to your child, things that he or she loves to talk about. These can be people, toys, food, places, or anything else they might be interested in or enjoy. We have a fourth grader at one of our elementary schools who uses an AAC device, and he's also a bit of a history buff. So he's added vocabulary to his device so that he can talk about things that he's interested in, like the Civil War or Vikings. And these are topics that are personal core to him. Word Power has some built-in features that make it more intuitive and efficient for students to communicate using the device. For example, it displays words in an order that would typically follow left to right when students are building their sentence, so similar to how they read or write. Some words are color-coded. For example, pronouns are yellow, verbs are green, to make it easier for children to identify those words and also to help support language building in the future. Some pages are alphabetized, which can help caregivers or other adults working with your child at school to find the word they're looking for, and the child as they get older and start to understand that alphabetic principle. There's also a QWERTY keyboard, which allows for typing of words that they may want to say but are not programmed in the device. And there's also a phonetic keyboard that can support students who are still learning how to read. Our ultimate goal for all students is SNUG, and that stands for Spontaneous Novel Utterance Generation, or in layman's terms, the ability for your child to say whatever they want to whomever they want, whenever they want. When we're talking about SNUG, I always think of this quote from Friends where Monica says, "Okay, Ben, why don't you come open some presents and Santa, the armadillo, and I will have a little chalk in the kitchen." There's a sentence I never thought I'd say. We want our children to be able to say all kinds of things we never thought they'd say. So how do we get started at home? Now we'll talk about how you can use the device with your child to help them learn how to communicate. The best strategy we can use with new AAC users is called modeling. This short video will give you an idea of what it is and why we do it. So ultimately, modeling is using your child's AAC device to talk to them so that they'll eventually use it to communicate back with us. This is the same idea of speaking to babies in English to eventually have them speak English to us. If we wanted them to speak a different language, like Malayalam or German, we would speak to them in those languages to eventually have their first words be in that language. So, for example, if you say to your child, "We're going to go to the grocery store today," you're going to say that phrase just like you always would. And then you're going to press the word go on the communication device just about the same time that you say it in your phrase. So, what this graphic shows here is kind of the different options that we have. If we have a student where their input, what we say to them, is spoken language, we would expect them to be able to speak back to us. But if we have children who we're expecting to use an AAC device and we're only providing them spoken language, but expecting them to use the device to talk back to us, they can get confused. And so what we want to do is we want to use both aided language, which is the AAC device, and spoken language, so that the child speaks back to us using aided language or the AAC device and spoken language. There's lots of research to support that using an AAC device does not deter the development of spoken speech. Children will still continue to develop their spoken speech, and people are always going to communicate in whatever is the fastest and most efficient way possible, and that's usually spoken speech. So as their spoken speech hopefully continues to develop, then they will use that. But if it doesn't, they have the ability to continue to use the AAC device. This graphic is of a quote that I think speaks to why modeling is so important for your child and our students. Babies have heard 4,380 hours of spoken language by 18 months old, and we don't expect them to be proficient communicators. We've modeled for them for so long before we ever expect anything back. If a student using AAC is only exposed to modeling during speech therapy, it would take 84 years to receive the same amount of modeling. That's why an AAC device is an all hands on deck intervention. Not only do we need support from the SLP, we also need teachers and families on board modeling for students throughout the day, every day. This video shows a mother and her son making cookies together. Mom is modeling using the AAC device while they cook. This family uses a different AAC app than TouchChat, but the principles of modeling are the same.
You make it go?
Go.
Make it go. Yay! Good job, Philip. Do you know what we're going to make?
Make.
What are we going to make?
Make.
Do you know?
No.
You don't know?
No.
That's okay. I'll tell you. We're going to
Make.
cookies. Cookies. Do you love cookies? Mm-hmm. Russell, do you love cookies?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go over here because when we make our cookies, the first things, look, we're going to go to colors. Colors, because we're going to put in some brown sugar. Who wants to put in the brown sugar?
Me.
You do? Okay, Russell's going to put in the brown sugar. Very good. Philip, do you want to put in some sugar? Yes? Okay, let's look over here. There's one more sugar left. Let me show you. Here's the sugar that needs to go back. This is white.
White.
It's white sugar. And let's go to core. You can say, I want to put it in. Yes, good job. Okay, Philip, here. You can put it in.
So as you saw in the video, Mom modeled several different words. She modeled verbs like make, go, think. She did some colors for the different sugars, and she did pronouns like I and you. She modeled one word at a time while still saying her whole phrase or sentence. You'll also notice that she did not require the little boy to do any responding. She was just providing input using the device. Right now, we want your child to see you modeling. Don't worry so much about what they're doing, but try and model as much as possible. When you're getting started with AAC at home, the number one thing to remember is model, model, model as many times as you feel comfortable throughout the day. I don't want you to have to think of any new activities to do to model, but think about routines and activities you're already doing and what you might model during those activities. For example, during dinner, you might model put when you're putting things on the table or in a bowl. While you're getting dressed, you might model colors for different items of clothing or on or off as you put things on. Start by modeling one word in a phrase or sentence that you're saying, and as your child becomes more proficient, you can increase your words from there. A rule of thumb we like to follow at school is you model one word above what the child is doing independently. So since your child's just starting out, you would model one word. Once your child can say single words using the device, we would start modeling two words and so on. Another great strategy is to get siblings involved. Kids learn best from each other, and involving an older or even younger sibling can be very motivating and engaging for your child. In this video, we see the same little guy from the previous video, but here he's playing with his sister and she's doing the modeling while playing with this stacking toy.
Philip, look at all these shapes. You see orange is on the top. Can you press top?
Chop.
Good. Now do you see purple is on the bottom? Can you press bottom?
Bottom.
Good. Now let's build them. Let's put purple on the bottom. Can you put it? Now let's put blue on top of the purple. Good, now let's put green.
So this was an easy way to involve the sibling and create a shared activity that they both could do. If your child has a favorite toy or activity and you're struggling to think of a core word to model, feel free to send me an email and we can brainstorm together to find some different words that you can model during this activity. Here are some ideas for implementing AAC at home. One place to start, and one of my favorite activities, is story time. You have two options during story time. The first is to model a word from the book. So for example, in this picture, we have brown bear, where you could model the words I, see, me, look. You could also pick one word to model throughout the book. You could also model what you're doing with the book. So you could model my turn to turn the page, your turn to turn the page, turn the page. My children love to read the Lift the Flap book, so it could be my turn to lift the flap or your turn to lift the flap. During mealtime, you could model more. You could model I like, I don't like. You could model put for putting things on the table. During play, you could model with toys you already own, like Mr. Potato Head. You could model for put in. You could model that you like something or don't like something. With physical play, like running or tickling, you could model more, stop, or my turn. I've included links here to the AAC coach files, and she's an SLP who's created visuals for different words that can be modeled in common activities that many families do. She's made these resources in English, Spanish, Dutch, Italian, and Portuguese. So here's an example of one of her files. She's broken down different ways to support language during playing with bubbles. So she has comments, commands, questions, and requesting. She has sheets like this for many common toys or activities, as well as many family routines like mealtime, bath time, and getting dressed. If you're on social media and would like to connect with some families who use AAC with their children, there are some great ones to check out. I think it's nice to see other families who are in the thick of it with you. One caveat I'd like to point out is that these families have been using AAC for years, so don't feel like you need to be on their level just yet. They've all been where you are, just starting, and they've just been on the journey a little bit longer. So the first one, We Speak Pod, is on Facebook and YouTube. This documents the Owens family, and they have 3 children who use AAC. They all use a system called Pod, so it's not the same as TouchChat, but she still has some great modeling ideas. Two Techie Mamas, they have 1 child, I believe it's a daughter, who uses an AAC device. Hold My Words is a family with 1 child who uses AAC, specifically an app called Speak for Yourself. And then she also homeschools her child, so she shows how she incorporates the device into school activities as well. And then Lots of Comptons is the family from the 2 YouTube videos that we already watched. They have lots of short videos on their YouTube channel to show how to model in different activities with the device at home. If you stumble across another great family using AAC on social media, let me know. I'd love to be able to share it with other families. So now we're going to talk about guided access. We use guided access to lock your child into the communication app. Many children have had exposure to an iPad as a leisure tool to access YouTube or other games, but we want this iPad to be solely for communication. If they use this iPad to play games or watch videos, they don't have access to their voice to talk about those experiences. We ask that you also use guided access at home and not allow your child to use this iPad for leisure activities. Guided access has already been set up on the iPad, and to start guided access, you'll simply triple click on the home button and it will start automatically. To end or adjust the settings, you'll triple click again and input the passcode set by the district, which is usually 200,000. But if it's not, just contact your child's teacher or SLP to get the correct code. And then please don't change the code without consulting your child's teacher or speech therapist. So this short video will just show us how to enable guided access as needed.
Once you have your child in the TouchChat app, to start guided access, you're going to go ahead and triple click on the home button. And because it's already set up, it's just going to pop up and tell you that guided access has started. So now if you hit the home button to try to navigate out of this app, you're going to get the message at the top just letting you know that guided access is enabled. If you do want to disable guided access, you're going to again triple click on the home button, and then the enter passcode window will pop up and you're going to put in your passcode, which is a 2 and then 5 zeros, and then you'll just hit end. Now you're able to navigate out of the TouchChat app.
As you saw there, the guided access prompt pops up after triple clicking on the home button. You didn't see any numbers during my screencast, but when it pops up for you, you'll see a number pad similar to a phone. This video is uploaded to the AT for D205 YouTube channel if you need to go there and just watch this short video if you need a reminder on how to use this feature. So now we'll start discussing the TouchChat app specifically. First thing, we're going to watch a video on how to use the word finder feature in WordPower 60 Basic, which is the vocabulary that your child will be using. This feature allows you to search for a specific word in the device, and it will show you how to navigate to that word within the pages of the vocabulary.
So if you want to find a word, up in the top left-hand corner is a button that says ABC 123. You're going to go ahead and touch that. And then down at the bottom, the second button over from the left says Find Word. So you're going to touch on that, and then you'll type in whatever word you're looking for. So let's pretend we're going to look for dog. So I'll type D-O-G, and then I'm going to hit Find. And sometimes it takes a minute. And then it will tell me how to get to that word. So for example, I would go to Groups, Pets, Dog. And if I tap on the first one, it's going to guide me through it. So you'll see the rest of the screen is kind of grayed out, but I can tap Groups, and then Pets, and then Dog.
So as you saw in the video, there might be multiple ways to say the same word to navigate to the word you want to say. The first one is usually the quickest, so sometimes it helps to kind of look through the list and just make sure you're getting the quickest option. This slide has directions for using the word finder feature with the steps written out in case you prefer that. So again, tap the ABC 123 button, you'll tap on Find Word, type the word that you want to find, and then you'll follow the directions from there. If you don't get a result when you type a word and hit search, that means that that word is not contained within the vocabulary and we might want to consider adding it. So now we'll start talking about editing. The first thing we'll review is how to turn on the editing feature in the iPad settings menu. We usually turn this off at school because this ensures that your child can't accidentally make edits to the vocabulary.
So your child's iPad is likely set up to have the editing function turned off, and the reason that we do this is just so that the students can't inadvertently make some changes. They're really good sometimes at touching buttons, and so they can sometimes accidentally change things that we don't want them to. So typically we like to lock them out of that editing function when they're using it and just turn it on for ourselves when we need it. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to go out of the TouchChat app. If I had guided access on, I would triple click and disable it, and I'm going to go into the settings menu down at the bottom, and you'll see over here on the left hand side I can scroll through all my apps, just like on a phone if you have an iPhone, and down at the bottom we have the TouchChat app, and you'll see the allow editing is grayed out down toward the bottom, but if I touch it it's going to turn green. And then I'm going to go out of settings and back into the TouchChat app. And in the yellow bar in between what we call the message window, so the window where the words pop up, and the icons, I now have a button that says vocab and a button that says menu. And menu is where I'm going to access my editing features that we're going to talk about in a minute. So that's how you're going to turn editing on if you want to make some changes to your child's iPad.
So once you make the edits that you want, you're going to want to remember to go back into the settings menu and turn off that editing so your child doesn't have access to it. And remember to always turn guided access back on before giving the iPad back to your child. So these next two slides are written directions for turning the editing feature on and off in the iPad settings. Some pictures to support as well. So now we'll go over how to edit a button in TouchChat.
So now that we've turned on the editing function, I'm going to show you how to go ahead and edit a button. So I'm going to tap on menu in the top right hand corner, and you'll see then I get a small menu that comes up, and I'm going to click on edit page. The top of my page turns red, and that's just a cue to me that I'm in the editing menu. Any of the buttons that are here, we can go ahead and make edits to. We can either edit the button that's already there. We can also add a button. So for example, on the right hand side, we have sister, but I might want to change that to my sister's name. So I'm going to tap on it, and I'm going to say edit this button. And now I have my editing menu. My editing menu, it does go a little bit further down, so you can swipe and see what's additional there. We have button label, and the button label is what you're going to see on the button or in the square in the app. Button message can be different. So it could say sister, but then the button message could say something like, my sister's name is Maureen. Alternately, I can also make the button label say my sister's name. So it can say Maureen or it can say Margaret. Whatever your sister, if your child has a sister, whatever their name is. So I can just go ahead and change it. So I'm going to change it. My sister's name is Maureen, so I'm going to use that. And you'll see then it changes both the button label and the button message. If I'm not sure how it's going to sound, I can say pronounce.
Maureen.
Maureen. If I had a name that it wasn't pronouncing correctly in the button message, I might want to go ahead and put it in kind of phonetically. That will help it say it correctly, and then I can check it there. I can go to select image, and if I just go to search here, it's going to search the pictures that are available in the app. So I could search girl if I want to search a girl that looks more like my sister. And so let's say I think this one looks more like her, this girl in the yellow dress, and then I can change it. I can also add an image that I've taken. So if I have a picture of my sister and I want to add it, I can say import image. And I can do image library or camera. Camera is going to allow me to take a picture. So if my sister's in front of me and I want to take a picture of her, I can do that. If I already have a picture of her saved, I can go to image library, and then it's just going to pull up my photos. My photos are going to be kind of silly, as you guys can see. So I have some things here. Brew Point. I had a student who was working at Brew Point, and so I was able to put in Brew Point for them. So I can choose that, and I can say use. And then you'll see that was the image that we put in his message for him. If I scroll a little bit further down, I can do other things like change the font size. I can change the color of the button. I can change the, what else? I can change what the button does. But I think really for now, staying in these top few areas where we're changing either the button label and or the message, and then changing pictures is probably where we're going to want to stay there. So I'm going to hit cancel. I'm not going to save that change for me. When I have things like the home button here in the top left-hand corner, I want to make sure that I'm not editing those. And as I will talk about on other slides that we have here, this front page, we don't want to really edit any of this at all. This is what's taking us into the device to the different pages that we need. So the things that we would be editing would be things like people. We can do places. Under social, you could maybe add some other things that your child or your family might say. When we go into groups, this is where you're going to have a lot of options to do some customization if you want to. So for example, if I go into the food tab, I might want to change some of these things here to either things that my child likes or things that we might eat as a family. I can go into the specific meals up at the top and add some of those things. So for example, in my house, one of my kids is allergic to peanut butter, so that would be something that if this was her device, we probably wouldn't put it on there. But in the social page, we might have something that says, I'm allergic to peanut butter or something like that. And so that's what we do with editing a button.
So in addition to editing buttons that already exist, we can also click on blank buttons and add buttons from scratch. You'll need to add a button message and a button label and an image or a photo. And overall editing is fairly simple. Just a reminder that all of these videos are on my YouTube channel individually, so you can go back and just watch a specific video instead of navigating through this longer video to try to find what you need. So these next few slides are written directions for editing a button in the TouchChat app. So this slide reviewed how to turn on the editing function once we're in the app. This slide shows the button editing menu. This slide continues with our editing button options. And this slide goes over how to add a photo. So I'd like to review what is acceptable to edit on the device because some things need to stay in the same place and location in the device. So please do not edit any of the icons on the main page or the location of any pronouns, verbs, or adjectives on the topic-specific pages. For example, in the foods page, the word eat is in the same location as it is on the front page. The reason for this is that the app is built on a concept called motor planning. This is the idea that students will learn the location of a word and quickly navigate to it because they've learned the motor plan. This is the same idea as a keyboard where the keys don't change the location and you eventually know, after lots of learning and practice, where they are and can use them without looking. Please feel free to edit and add information on the social page, people page, food, toys, or places page. If you don't feel comfortable editing on the device, but you have vocabulary you'd like to add, please feel free to send me or your child's teacher or speech therapist an email and we can work together to get it added for you. The last thing to review is the district's assistive technology agreement for use of the device at home. This is specifically for students who are issued an additional device or equipment as part of their IEP. What you're agreeing to signing this is that you agree to the district's internet policy. You understand that the iPad is being provided for educational use only, and in this case, use as a communication device only. Again, we specifically ask that you do not use this iPad to watch YouTube videos or play any games. You understand that only apps purchased by the district may be downloaded onto the device. We ask that you not use a personal Apple ID to download any apps onto the device. We ask that you properly care for the device and inform the district if it's lost or damaged. We ask that you not take the device to any places where it could easily get damaged, like the beach or the pool. We can work with you to create some low-tech supports for your child if there are places that you go frequently that maybe the device is not appropriate. If the device becomes lost or broken due to negligence, we would ask that the family reimburse the district for a purchase of a new device. We know that devices are going to break and there may be reasons why something may be lost or broken, and the district would still replace the device in those instances. But if you took the device to the beach and it's no longer functioning due to water or sand damage, we would ask that you replace it. And finally, we ask that you send the device to school daily with a full charge. If at any time you feel you can no longer agree to these terms or the team has concerns about how the device is being used outside of school, we may determine that the device needs to stay at school and not be sent home. I'm sure after all of this information, you have some questions. So please come to your follow-up training with any questions you have, ideas of 2 to 3 words you might like to program into the device so we can walk through that together, and then an idea for an activity at home where you'd like to begin modeling. We'll brainstorm what words you might use and how you might get started doing that. I look forward to helping you get started on your AAC journey, and I can't wait to see your child's communication grow. Thank you.